Our turn safely completed in the race. Heading out now towards Lansley Lift Bridge, of course, which is open for us at the green light. As we go through the bridge here, have a look over on your left hand side, see the bridge keeper in there. Give him a bit of a cheery wave. It's his good offices we need to make these short journeys each day, and can be a bit of a lonely job that today, of course, but they start early in the morning, finish late at night, and carries a great deal of responsibility, of course, so give a cheery wave on the way through. On the Gloucester and Sharpness Ship Canal proper, you'll notice on your left hand side here these lovely Victorian brick-built warehouses standing on these pillars, and unsurprisingly they're known as pillar warehouses locally. This one on the left here has recently been refurbished, and there's a lovely bar and restaurant I think on the ground floor, and a plush office space above. What we're catching up with, you can see on the left hand side here, there's waiting to catch the developers' eye, of course. Actually feature on this one here though, if you look between the columns, you'll see those rusting brown iron chutes protruding out over the water. Now, brewer's mash would have been stored here, and when it was ready it was shoveled down those chutes into the holds of waiting narrowboats, and it would have been taken through the dock, through the dock basin, down into the lock, and then up to the Midlands where it would have been transformed into beer. That's the story with that one. The apartment block on the left hand side here has also got a bit of an interesting story. That was a lovely Victorian warehouse there waiting to be transformed into something different. Unfortunately the planners, the developers, the owners and the builders all had a massive falling out. Fortunately, as is the way of these things, within a fortnight a masked arsonist had crept in and burned the whole thing down to the ground, and they were clear to start again. But it's actually very similar to the original and stands on the same footprint. Heading now towards St Anne's Bridge, or High Ultra Bridge, or Echo Bridge, as we know it locally. You get ready, I'll do the 1, 2, 3, and you're going to test run. We're giving a good old cheer as we go out underneath it and see if we can raise the roof. Let's go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good big cheer. And we do this each time with our trips. And we keep a log in the book of volume and duration. They give marks out of 10 on the way back, so that will count that as a little practice run. When we come back again, then we'll do it properly. Let's see where we get to. We do this with the schools actually on a fairly frequent basis, and we award a special prize for the noisiest score, the loudest cheer at the end of our season. Gloucester and Sharpness Canal first opened in the 1830s, the main import to the area was that of timber. That timber was arriving from the Baltic in large sailing ships would have been dropped off here and then taken over where these narrowboats are in this little marina here and stored until it was needed, and then taken across to the left-hand side of the canal here where there was Gloucester wagon and carriage works. Very important for the area, huge employer, and they were making rolling stock for our colonial exploits and beyond. But although the timber import business lived with Gloucester for the best part of 150 years, pretty much full on, other imports that were coming into the area that began to drop off in terms of bringing it in by ship. This was mainly due to the road improvements and the rail improvements that were coinciding with the canal building at the time. So whilst it was, I'd like to say that there was an exponential rise in trade to the area as soon as the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal opened, it pretty much dropped off just as fast. Because of this, and because of the fact that city fathers needed to try and promote the area best they could and encourage more trade into the area, larger ships, perhaps larger coastal vessels. If you look along here on the right-hand side of the ship in front, maybe just coming up to it now, you see this lovely, long, regular quay. This was supposed to be the new answer to the drop-off in trade, but actually it never worked very well. It just is those who like to know about those sorts of things. You can see the quays pretty large, and the depth is a bit greater here as well. And that was to say trying to attract these larger vessels into the area. It didn't really work. But in my lifetime, I can remember this quay would have been lined with engineering businesses, grain silos, those huge towering brick chimneys, smoking brick chimneys, that sort of thing. You see from all the photographs. Quite different now, of course, and alongside with the industrialisation, really, I suppose you could say, of this area of the canal. Anywhere these days where there's a half a decent view, good access and water, then the old industrial buildings have been cut and taken away. You get these lovely residential properties springing up all over the place instead. So quite different to its original intention. The bankside vegetation on your right-hand side tends to look more like a river than the regular lines you might associate with a canal. And the reason for this is that the few large vessels that did venture into the area might have been waiting here 2 or 3 abreast, for a commission that actually never turned up. Now, bearing in mind that the skippers were often the owners as well, they weren't too keen on hanging around with empty holds. So they need to they discharge their cargo on arrival, obviously, but they need to reballast and retrim their vessels in order to escape as quickly as they could, maybe to Bristol, Cardiff and beyond. Would have taken quite a time to arrange to have ballast brought into the area, so we're sure that what actually happened was they were digging the clay and spoil from the bed of the canal, and that's why the banks here have got this scalloped appearance. look ahead of the ship about 100 odd yards in front, you'll see another bridge that we must go through today on this short trip. Now, this is typical of most of the bridges over the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal. There's 16 of them, roughly. They're manually operated mechanically by hand. The operator, the bridge keeper, will turn a windlass 60 turns to open it and 60 turns to close it. So it could be quite a physical job, say dawn to dusk, pretty much. It all looks very idyllic, I know, but when the wind's a bit rough and the rain's pouring down and they might have to do that a dozen times in an hour, it's not such fun. What we've got today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is a special treat. Now, we haven't got a proper bridge keeper on here today. We have a proper bridge keeper on here today. We managed to find a pirate. Yes. We're not too sure whether it's going to be good news or not until we get there, really. We managed to find a pirate at great expense. Now, especially to the young ones on the ship at the moment, you have to remember that pirates can be very fierce and they can be a bit unpredictable. Now, this pirate's name is Pirate Peck, and I'm sure he won't mind you knowing that. And he may give you a cheery wave to help us on our way, or he may be a bit belligerent. It's a bit difficult to tell. As I say, we've crossed his palm with silver to get him to come here in the first place, but we're never quite sure on the odd occasion that he does come, whether in fact that's enough. But doubtless we'll find out in a few moments. So if he pops over to say hello from his bridge, give him a good old ooh-ah and a good wave. We need to really keep on his good side, because hopefully he'll be nice and happy when we make our way back. As I say, they can be a bit fierce, but don't be alarmed. You've given him plenty of gold, plenty of silver. You can stash that away in his chest that he keeps in the office on this side of the canal here. In fact, he'll be towing it away later on his horse-drawn carriage. So here we are. He's got a bit of a swagger on today. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Be prepared. Give us that cheery wave and plenty of ooh-ahs. Plenty of respect to the pirate. Pirate Peck. Hello, Pirate Peck, he's a card, that one, and we've got to go past him on the way back as well, so look out, I'll plenty of time in it. And these vessels that you see lining the towpaths on here on the right here, they're typical of the type of vessels you tend to see on the Gloucester and Sharpness these days. Very little commercial traffic, more the pleasure cruiser type thing. Most of these will be waiting to go into the Hempstead dry dock, which is up here past the records on the left hand side, about 50 yards or so. Quite interesting, bit of a story here again. This dry dock's been here since the canal was first built. It's very popular because it has a roof, so anybody has a vessel will tell you that it's always good to have a roof over a dry dock, so you can be a painting or your whatever it is you need to do in there, out of the wind and the rain and all the rest of it. So to that end, often you'll need to book a place in here maybe a year, sometimes 18 months in advance. I've known it to be. Open 365 days a year. You could be painting your boat in here on Christmas Day, as I have in the past, and that gives you an idea what my life could be like sometimes. We'll slow down, have a little peep in there, and you can see what's going on. Of course, very few dry docks have roofs, of course, just usually a hole in the ground. Okay, well they're flooded with water at the moment, so they're obviously waiting for some reason. I think they changeover days are a Monday morning, I think. On the right hand side here, this is a Gloucester Rowing Club. Not much going on today, but normally really busy around here with rowers zooming up and down, time trials and training and all the rest of it. Rowing clubs had a long association with the canal from the 1840s onwards. Very powerful lobby in the area, incidentally. And a southwest centre of excellence. They produce athletes and calibre of the Olympic Games and the Commonwealth Games. They're fast approaching the point at which I need to make my turn, so I'll be making those same signals again. Having a look around here, it's fairly obvious what's happened. We had to reroute the canal around about 15 years ago, dig a new route in order to accommodate the new A38 road junction here. There's a large swing bridge here. You'll see it as we make our turn. The swing's away from us. We can just creep underneath it on normal under normal circumstances. That's what we're able to go through to do. Anyway, we'll do our turn here and have a look around. You'll see what's going on. If you look through the bridge, you'll notice that the aspect, the view improves tremendously, and this is a good indicator of what it's like for the remaining 14 miles of the Gloucester and Sharpness Ship Canal, and pretty much the bucolic idle you would expect. That it flows alongside the, and it does flow, it's about 4 mile an hour flow on the canal, flows south parallel with the River Severn. As you would have noticed on that corner, is very popular with anglers. You actually catch some wonderful fish in here. And occasionally, from time to time, because you can't hear because of the wind and all the rest of it, so we ask them to indicate to us, you know, how many fish have you caught today? We do that sometimes, but generally the answer is always the same. It's just the two. The canal, Gloucester Sharpness, runs from Sharpness parallel with the River Severn up to Gloucester. Dug entirely by hand, 1790s, took about 30 years to complete. Various carrying companies went bust during that period, as I say, dug by hand, so you can imagine the amount of people it employed. The government had a hand in the financing, as did various private companies. About the exponential difference it made to bringing trade into the Gloucester area. One way to show how this worked was the River Severn locally is not really navigable to anybody with a great degree, you know, the scent. Certainly taking goods up the river from Sharpness to Gloucester would have taken you about a fortnight in ideal conditions, and of course with a huge tidal range of the Severn and all the different challenges that it exhibits, probably not a good idea. Now the day that the canal opened, that changed, and you could bring goods from Sharpness to Gloucester just in a single 24-hour period. So you could come up the canal north to Gloucester and back south again to Sharpness in a single day. And of course the tonnage, as you can imagine, was greatly increased as well. So that's what we mean by an exponential rise, the difference in the amount of carried trade it made as soon as the canal was open. Heading back now towards Hampstead Bridge. Bear in mind that the pirate's still there, and in fact we've engaged him, I think, for the rest of the day. Of course now he's working, he's probably even more grumpy than he started off. So cheery wave. And we'll see where we go. Before we get to the bridge, on the right hand side you'll see this large vessel, the Edward Elgar. It's a hotel ship, fine dining, all the rest of it. She goes away for a week at a time. Sometimes the full 16-mile length of the canal, and sometimes she goes onto the river. I think it just depends on the prevailing conditions. But all very high end, and if you're into that sort of thing, maybe worth having a look at the website and see what's going on. I think they've got about 8 rooms in there, or suites, I think they probably prefer me to call them. There we are, Pirate Peck again. He won't be very happy because we've got to waken him up again, so in that cheery wave and acknowledge the efforts that he's making for us today. No, I think we said earlier on coming into the area, it's going to travel south in terms of trade cargo, but weird blue-coloured roof on this building here. This was a salt storage warehouse. Salt would have been brought by narrowboat down the canal, offloaded here, and when there was a sufficient amount, a larger vessel was called in, and that salt would have been taken to Ireland, where it was used in the meat packing industry. Of course, there was no refrigeration back in those early days, and everything had to be cured. It's still owned by the Canal and River Trust, that building. I think we hear overflow exhibits from our museums as we rotate them around the country. If you look closely, I know it's all past it, but if you look closely and notice some wet patches on the brickwork, that's where the salt would have leached through over the years. It was in use.
Cocktail party, doesn't mention breakfast. Wetlands.
Yeah, but how much canal boats are they saying?
Same price.
Yeah, but
You could get one of them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 6 people on board.
Not per person. All drinks and meals. All drinks, meals, and excursions.
Now to this point of the journey, we give you a short history of the ship you're sailing on today, Queen Boadicea, Dunkirk, little ship of course. She was built in by Thornycroft of Southampton in 1936. She was commissioned by Mrs. Smith, her to-be owner. She was built as a Thames passenger vessel, so as soon as she was launched, she went off to the Thames, worked as a Thames passenger ship for 3 or 4 years, and was based at Westminster Pier. Now this was all very good, of course, until the call rang out for all vessels that could to make their way to the coast, and then subsequently on to Dunkirk and aid with Operation Dynamo, the evacuation process going on there at the time. Now she's built of steel, QB, she's 65 feet long, 15 feet wide, there's about 15 feet of air draft, and currently we run a Gardner 6LX engine in her. Now she only has an underwater draft of about a metre. Now when the ship eventually arrived at Dunkirk, having been requisitioned by a couple of Navy SEALs, it was obvious straight away to the naval personnel that Queen Boadicea would be ideal to head straight towards the beaches and load on as many personnel as she possibly could, and then beat off hastily, rendezvousing with a larger ship further out. Now she did this very successfully for the time that she was. Actually, you could measure the success in the fact that she's here at all. But did this very successfully for a few days during that period. We're not sure how many persons that she rescued, but we do know that on her return to the UK, she was carrying over 250 souls on board, so you can imagine they would have been crammed in every single nook and cranny. Retained by the Navy for the next 5 years or so, I think. She underwent various transformations as a harbour patrol boat, and one thing and another. To her wartime exploits, she was like the rest of the volunteer Navy, awarded a brass plaque, and this brass plaque is on the front of our wheelhouse, and simply says Dunkirk 1940. So we're very proud of her, of course. Following the war, she went back to the River Thames again, operating as this passenger vessel. Subsequently sold on to different operators, mainly in the southwest, and she was running on the River Dart, and sometimes as the Kreml ferry from Plymouth Harbour. There's some wonderful photographs around. There's some in the saloon actually. Plenty on the internet of Queen Boadicea lying at anchor in Plymouth Harbour. And purchased by British Waterways in the early 1990s. We brought her through past Land's End up to Gloucester. She underwent a bit of a conversion, and we've been running these short trips ever since. I say, actually, the Queen Boadicea looks very similar to how she was on her original construction. So we're very proud of her. We maintain her ourselves. You can imagine it's quite a challenge through the winter months to keep her in good order, but she is in extremely good order. Very simple though. The wheelhouse are outstanding, so it's just a wheel here, a rudder at the stern, chain and cable steering, nothing particularly fancy, no nice bay thrusters or anything like that. And she can be a bit capricious. She goes very well in a straight line, but not madly keen on turning corners, but we do try and get used to her, and indeed it's a pleasure and a privilege to be piloting her and operating her on a daily basis.
That's the way to do it. See, they got the little patio set, so just one. Just did this thing.
So I'll stop our duty to give a big old cheer when we go under Echo Bridge here. I'll slow down
Under the solar.
Yeah.
and see what sort of a volume we can get. And don't forget, it's not just the volume, it's the duration which is important. See if we can make the people walking over the bridge jump. Okay, 3, 2, 1, off we go. You know, we had a trip last week and it was pitiful, and that was a lot better than pitiful. I think we'll probably go for a 7 out of 10. Or maybe if you come with us again at some point in the future, we can improve on that, but we'll do that anyway. That's fine. Okay, just a few things to say now as we make our approach to the docks. You'll notice this large red ship on the left-hand side here. That's Sula Lighthouse, formerly the Spurn Point Lighthouse in the Humber Estuary. She was brought here by tug 15 years ago, converted into a high-end hotel, fine dining, all the rest of it, usual thing. Coming into the area some point in the future, looking for accommodation, might be worth having a look at their website. And directly on the left-hand side here, you'll see across the meadow, Anthony Secunda Priory, again being restored, tight barn on the edge, that sort of thing. Definitely worth a visit if you've got the time and inclination. So, approaching Lantony Bridge. Now you may remember I mentioned that the ship is a little reluctant to turn corners. We have to make quite a sharp turn to the right here to tie up on our berth. So if I can ask all passengers to just remain still, remain seated while I do that. When we're securely tied up, then I'll indicate, or my colleague will indicate, when it's safe for you to exit the vessel. So thanks for coming with us today, and I'll speak to you once we're safely tied. Thank you very much.
Forever.